Hi, this is Mark from Altcoin Buzz, and we're on a part 2 this weekend. We're going to take a look at some of the altcoins that you guys asked about, along with Ethereum, Litecoin, and a quick look at Bitcoin. If you want to see a more extensive look at Bitcoin, you can look at the video that I did yesterday. This will be a little bit of a speed round, so let's get started. Okay, let's start off on the Bitcoin USD 1-week chart, and what we're looking at here is some resistance at the 21-week moving average. That's this red line right here. As well as that long-term trend line. This is drawn all the way back from like 2012, 2013. And like we talked about, we're looking at whether or not we could see a cup and handle forming here, whether it's coming from that $6,400 area down to back up to that area, or whether this would be the top of the cup and handle that we're kind of at right now. Do we consolidate from here and come back down to form that handle before making a rise back up? Where does that become invalidated? It becomes invalidated if we break below this black line here set at about $5,000. So as we look at this potential cup and handle forming, if we come back down and break through this $5,000 area, that invalidates it in my mind. Otherwise, we'll look and see if we can get some support there and come back up to make an effort against this higher resistance area for us, the $6,000 to $6,400 area of resistance. On the one-day chart, we can see we've got clear resistance here. We've had it over the last couple days now, yesterday and today, double topped right here. So we rejected at about 57.25. We've been reacting off this regression trend at the top of the line, and we've hit that again. So now the most logical area to get back down to would be to test this lower support trend line that we've had, where we've touched it 3 times after hitting the top of our regression trend. So that area would put us somewhere in the bottom of the green box, which is set at 53.50, down to the trend line, which is going to be somewhere in that $5,300 range. So right in that $5,300 is where we'd be looking for Bitcoin to come back down and hopefully find support. We still have that histogram on the squeeze indicator. It's still in a positive trend right now, and we've got a resetting of our RSI starting to happen as well, getting back into the oversold territory. So gathering some steam up potentially for another run could happen here at the midpoint of this regression trend, which we've seen some action off of as well. As the RSI is cooling off and still having some momentum, it looks like, at least on the daily from our squeeze indicator, theoretically we'll just test the top of this green box at $5,500. So we'll look to see if that holds, but the main thing is to see if it holds here back in $5,300. And again, as we looked at that weekly chart, we really don't want to break $5,000 at all, which is down at the bottom of this orange box. If we do that, then that cup and handle on the weekly ends up looking like it's going to become invalidated. And so those are the things we're going to be watching here. If you haven't followed me on Twitter yet at crypto_old, please do, because I do post these kinds of analysis on Bitcoin throughout the week when I'm not able to make videos. It's the inner circle, if you will. It doesn't cost you anything. Just all you have to do is go to Twitter and follow me at crypto_old. So one other thing I'm watching on Bitcoin right now are the longs and the shorts. And the last time we had this kind of disparity was back in November 2017. Then we had a flip. So at the current levels that we have very low longs being placed and a very high level of shorts being placed. When we had that kind of disparity back in history of November 2017, we had a flip in the longs to the shorts and a decrease of about 20% on the price. If that were to happen, and let's just say it was from this rejection point on the top of the box, 20% would take us back down into about that $5,000 price point. So that's one thing that if we go back to the weekly chart and look at the stochastic RSI, remember we looked at when we topped out on the stochastic RSI on the weekly chart, had a crossover on the signal line. We had some very big moves to the downside. And we are fighting right now against that signal line as resistance. If that takes hold and we continue this drop down, that $5,000 price point looks very realistic at that point in time. And even potentially going down further from there into that $4,500 to $4,200 price point. Okay, so let's take a look at Litecoin, and I've had some questions come up recently, like how can I get started in TA? What indicators should I be using? I really want to start doing this on my own. I think it's great that you want to start learning on your own. Let's start looking at these next coins with some of the basics, as simple as horizontal support and resistance lines and volume. Those two things alone, if you can get the basics of those, you'll feel much more confident, and they're very accurate. So if we just take Litecoin right now, and we've got the Heiken and She candles on, which is another tool you can use, or another look you can give yourself when you're new. If you change your candles in TradingView and go to the Heiken and She candles, what you're going to find is that these candles are averaged out, kind of like moving averages in the candles price action, and it gives you an indication of the overall trend within that candle, whether it was positive or negative. So it evens out this action a little bit easier for you to draw your support and resistance lines. And I'm going to set you up on this real quick, and then I'm just going to go through the charts very quickly after we have an understanding of how these are set up right now. So we've got the trend lines drawn just using our trend line tool here in the toolbox, and I've given myself some room to go across to look at some historicals as well to see how the price reacted in that area before if we don't have any recent history back in here. So what I'm looking for is some confluence, right? I'm looking for areas where there's a lot of action against that line. If you see here, we've got we've got support building here, some consolidation of support there. We've got some price reaction along that line back in here and over in here and even back in this area. So a lot of confluence to price liking this kind of area right in here. So we've got a line drawn there. We've had some action off of this area right here recently, so that looks as if it could be support for us, and it's relatively confirmed back here as it would act as resistance back in this area. So this is another good line to look at. Above us in the resistance, we've got action off of this line right in here. We've got action off of it back in this area as well. So that's going to be our resistance area that we just saw. We're looking for then Litecoin to really come back down to the 67.75 area, right? That's what we're going to be looking at. If it breaks through this, if we don't get the support that we need there, the next logical area for Litecoin to come down to would be right in this range. Now, we have these drawn as lines, but really I like drawing boxes to give us ranges because this could be anywhere from 61.25 down to 57 kind of 75, right? So there's some range that we'd be looking to target, and most likely because we've got some action back in here as well with it, we'd be looking to target in this area of about 61.25. Again, if we break this line, that potentially is going to be support for us, or what we're looking to see is going to be support. And if we do get support, then again, we're going to be targeting back to this upper range of 80.50, and you're looking for a breakthrough at that point in time, right? That's what you're hoping for. Now, if you get that breakthrough, then you're targeting this upper line here that would become resistance or potential resistance at about $93. So that's the basics of the support and resistance lines. Very easy for you to draw on your own and to get an idea of what your target should be looking at. So right now, we're looking to not even find an entry point on Litecoin yet until it gets into about that $68, and then we want to see what happens from there. From a volume standpoint, you've got a 21 period moving average on volume, and that's 21 days because we're on the daily chart. So we're seeing a decline in volume, but that's what ends up happening, right? We get a reaction or a move to one direction or the other, and volume starts to decline. It's a pause in the market place at that point in time. And, if you get something like this is a huge push up, right? Some very nice volume, and then you see the price decline as volume declines, and that's just this is pushing a lot of money uphill. So you got to take a little bit of a breather, take a rest, see that we had some more volume come back into the marketplace, which forced us back down. That determined the momentum that we were going to take off of that volume. Then we had some volume increase again, and we took momentum back up. So you look at how these pauses start happening, and as that volume declines, that pace also starts to decline, which means that the end of that trend may be coming. So those are some areas to watch on Litecoin. Okay, Ethereum on the one-day chart. Clear resistance here at this line at about 175, 176. We're looking to try and find support at 153, 154. We do have to acknowledge, I know we're going to talk about trend lines, but we do have to acknowledge at least that we do have this upward sloping trend line. And so if Ethereum finds support on this trend line and then comes back and tests this resistance, once again on some decent volume, you could see it then shooting for the 197, 198. But a breakdown through this trend line makes this support, horizontal support, for me weaker, and so I'd be looking to target the next area down right at about 132. If we dropped below there, if Ethereum dropped below there, then the next swing low would be the next logical area to try and find support at about 106. Okay, one of the coins you guys want to look at was Basic Attention. And if you're not familiar with Basic Attention is based on the Brave network browser. And much like a Google or a Safari where you can surf around the web, if advertisers want to get your data or want to get to you, they have to pay you in Basic Attention coin or BAT versus surfing on Safari or Google or something like that and having them collect the data on what you're searching around for and selling it off to advertisers, and you not ever seeing a penny from that. So anyway, that's my basic understanding of basic attention. As we look at basic attention right now, you've got what could be the formation of a bull flag. Now, the thing that is concerning is we dropped out of the bottom. We're looking to potentially drop out of the bottom of this support trend line. If that's the case, we've already tested that just on a wick, but if that's the case, then the next logical area for support is going to be at about 31 cents, somewhere in there. So you've got declining volume happening right now with some pretty significant price action against that declining volume. So my entry point target right now that I'd be looking at to potentially get into basic attention would be about 31 cents. All right, let's look at Ontology, another highly voted coin in the survey on altcoins to look out for today. Ontology is a platform, if you're not familiar with it, that allows large businesses to get blockchain technology integrated very easily into their business operations. So that's the basis of Ontology. And you can see on the chart right now, our resistance was clearly set here at about $1.16, trying to find support at about $1.04. The concerning thing here is that we've got declining volume. You could say that this is just potentially a bull flag, and it could be, but to determine that, we'd have to break out of this resistance right now and start testing the next level of resistance at $1.31 for that to look more like a bear flag. If we break below this support right now, then that confirms that this is not a bull flag anymore, and we're going to be heading down to the 91-cent range at that point in time. Okay, the last one we're going to take a look at is Injun Coin. If you're not familiar with what Injun Coin does, is it's a platform to build games on. Really like the idea behind this, and it seems to be taking some traction. Look at this nice run up that it had, and you can go ahead and look up bull flags and how to measure moves on bull flags, because that's exactly what this looks like to me. I know we weren't going to be talking about that kind of stuff, but I did want to mention it here at least. But on the support and resistance on the horizontal side, what we've got is resistance set up at about 18.5 cents, 19 cents. Trying to find support here. It looks like pretty strong support developing at 14 cents. If you do get a breakdown from there, the next logical move would be looking at about 10 cents. You do have that declining volume going on, but this is a fairly healthy consolidation area for us. And again, look at the bull flag, because this measured move would be huge on Enjin if it was to take it and break out of the resistance at about 19 cents. And certainly you could confirm that measured move if it breaks out of 22 cents. 22.23. Okay, I did tell you that I was going to give you a indicator that's great to use if you're a beginning trader. And so let me just take off these support and resistance lines real quick, and we're going to pull up the Ichimoku cloud. I'm not going to go through all the details on the Ichimoku cloud. I'm going to encourage you to do your research on how to use the Ichimoku cloud. We'll go through it some other time. But essentially what you've got here is a bunch of stuff that you can look at in one place on one indicator. You've got moving averages going on. You've got support and resistance areas that are happening in here. That's determined by the clouds. The red and the blue lines you can see here on my chart are moving averages. And then you've got another indicator that's kind of a lagging indicator to tell you where your price action is in relation to previous history. And again, just at one glance, I can look at this chart and tell you that Enjin is looking extremely strong. We're finding support here potentially in this green cloud, and we've got a healthy price trading range that we're in right now. But I can also tell you from this cloud, if we break through, if we lose the support here, there is no support until we get back down in here at this 7-cent area. So that'll wrap it up for tonight. Hopefully that was helpful for you, and we're going to start off this week and see what happens. I'm going to encourage you once again to follow me on Twitter at crypto_old so that you can get these updates as I get them tweeted out throughout the days. That'll get you through to the next video. And until next time, may all your trades be good ones.